Okay, so let's take a look at why they're failing. So let's start off with example ID 207 and take a look. The first thing we see is that, we actually now have the source that we didn't have there before. So this is the source code that we saved via the source name. So this is useful just so we can always refer back to exactly what the code looked like for a given experiment. But actually right now we don't need that, so let's just hide that. Again, we can either hide by just toggling source here, or we can even just click this little minus sign to hide it like that. Okay, and also, I think, generally speaking, when we're doing this debugging, we're not going to need all of these. Obviously, we can add in the question pages, the mark scheme pages, if we need to see the raw PDF, but assuming we don't need to see that, then we can avoid that. The available marks is normally shown in the mark scheme anyway. The sub-questions, that's just like each individual question broken down, but the full question representation gives us that in string format anyway as well. So again, these can be useful for doing certain comparisons, but I think for now, and you can go through each of these in the dataset itself and just kind of validate what they all mean and how they're represented. But the correct marks is good. We don't need the per question breakdown. That kind of brings everything into the nested structure if you want to see all of it in a single nest. But for now, I think just the correct marks in its own nested structure, the mark scheme in its own nested structure, the predicted marks, the answer and the question is sufficient. I think these 5 are plenty. Let's actually go ahead and unfold all of them. Thankfully this question isn't massively nested itself. There's no kind of A, B, C part, so it's just one question, one answer. So that's quite easy. So let's take a look. What's going on? So the question is to write these in order, 0.34, 1/3, and 3.5%. The answer from the student is this. So they've got that wrong by the looks of it, because this should be first. It looks like they've misunderstood the percent sign. They've been predicted 0 marks, which I'd have thought is correct, but I guess not. What does the mark scheme say? Okay, the mark scheme says that there's a special case for this. So so SC1 for this. And the correct marks, exactly according to the mark scheme, this earns special case 1, special case partially correct ordering for 1 mark. Okay, so it's no surprise that the agent still marks this incorrectly, even though it has access to the mark scheme, because the agent doesn't know what SC1 means. It hasn't received the general marking guidelines for how the agent should behave. And actually what I can very quickly do is show you what that looks like. So let me quickly go onto the demos repository. Let's go to the Mark Assistant demo, data, past. Let's just take any one. So there's 3 papers. I'll just take the first paper, and let's take a look at the mark scheme for paper 1. And what you see is we have this this kind of subject-specific marking instructions, which the agent doesn't have access to. All the agent has for each question is a kind of JSON representation of this. So we've passed this, we've got the number of marks, we've got the part marks and guidance, and the answer, and it has access to this. But basically the agent, we're kind of expecting the agent here to understand, here's literally the exact one we were looking at. I didn't even realize it was paper 1. It was a complete coincidence there. But so here we have a third, 0.34, 3.5. This is exactly the bit that has been passed, and the agent has no context what SC1 means, whereas if we give it these 14 bullet points, somewhere it will say, here we go, in the very first one, SC marks are for special cases that are worthy of some credit. So I think that's a very obvious next step for us to do. But let's take a look at the other 3 failures as well. In general, it's best practice to try to get as much information as you can before running your next evaluation, because even if there's 2 quite different failure modes, maybe you can somehow incorporate both of those into your next changes to the agent to try to minimize the chance of error and minimize the chance of failure further. Okay, but I think we've got a pretty good understanding of why example ID 207 is failing. Let's now take a look at 261 and see what's going on there. So here we have Peter makes a large amount of pink paint by mixing this. The student answer is Peter needs 4 liters of red and 6 liters of white. Apparently the prediction from the agent is to get 0. The mark scheme is here, and the correct marks apparently should be 1 according to our expert marker. Again, kind of the ground truth test set. Okay, so it says, again, it's referring to a particular mark in the mark scheme. So apparently M1 says that saying 4 of red and 6 of white gives us something. It's literally the very first thing. So yeah, again, not surprising that the agent doesn't know what M1 means, so isn't able to correctly give that. And let's take a look at the final one as well. This one's quite nested. There's a lot going on. Let me just very quickly look at the, we don't have the nested diff because I don't know which question it's getting wrong here. What we can very quickly do is look at the predicted marks. So it's predicting 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. Apparently correct is 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so C is the problem by the looks of it. So let's just fold everything else away. Let's only unfold C. Let's only unfold C. And only unfold C. What I'm actually going to do here is, I'm actually just going to, what I'm going to do is quickly open this in focus mode. So this is good because we can kind of dynamically change this, but focus mode makes it even slightly easier. You can basically put any 2 tiles next to each other in focus mode. That's very useful when you have many tiles. Right now we do only have 2, but still it gives us this kind of like flexible divider as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up in focus mode. Yeah, and let's unfold the table again. And let's click on the example. Okay, and then let's unfold all of this. And what I'm now going to do is expand the view pane to take up all of the space. So I'm going to now just open the question. I'm actually going to add a split pane here. And I'm going to just look at the predicted marks as well. Let's take a look at that. And then actually going to add another one, and just here include the correct marks. And again, we only care about C. So let me just close all of the children of correct marks. And open up C, and again we want the marks and the rationale. So basically we have no rationale. Actually, this is unfortunate. There's no rationale given. Kind of the rationale. So this is another point that the agent hasn't given its reasoning here at all, because there's so many sub questions. It's almost interpreted that the breakdown for the 8 marks awarded, the rationale is like each of the sub-questions without elaborating, so we don't really know why it's given 2 marks for C. Okay, so the data is nicely aligned. Let's actually look at the question. So the question is, a newspaper headline reads, high temperature makes more people buy ice cream. Does the graph above prove this claim? Give a reason for your decision. The rationale for awarding only 1 of 2 marks is the mark scheme gives 2 marks if the student says no, there may be other factors involved. Here, only partial reason is given, so 1 mark is awarded for denying that the graph proves the claim, but not fully explaining other possible factors. Let's quickly verify that's the case with the mark scheme. The rationale here for why they've given 2 marks for C is not elaborated upon. In fact, because the agent is only asked to give the total number of marks to award with its rationale, I think that the agent, literally just explains why it's given 8 in terms of a breakdown for each sub-question. So again, not ideal. We're not really getting the chain of thought here from the agent. We haven't mentioned chain of thought, but the kind of reasoning models, like O3 Mini, typically do give some rationale. But yeah, let's see what the mark scheme says exactly. Let me just quickly again, close the children there, and let's have a look at C. So, no, because there may be other factors involved, 2 marks. Guidance B1 for no with partial reason. Okay, and this does seem to be a partial reason. Again, why might our agent not be getting this right? Because it doesn't know what B1 means. So I think the kind of resounding feedback here is that, while we've given the mark scheme to the agent doesn't actually have the general instructions for how to interpret the mark scheme. It doesn't know what B1 means. It doesn't know what M1 means. It doesn't know what SC1 means. So I think if we give it the general guidelines, then it's more likely to be able to correctly follow the instructions in the mark scheme, such as this guidance to give B1 for no with a partial reason. And the student's answer, again, we haven't even looked at the student's answer, sorry. The student's answer to C is, no, the graph alone does not completely prove the claim because the copy button's in the way, because we cannot be certain this trend always holds true in all situations. Yeah, that's not really true. It's looking for something that's more like explaining that correlation does not equal causation. That's kind of what the mark scheme wants. and because there may be other factors involved, factors being like, variables that impact the decision for people to buy ice cream. So yeah, because we can't be certain it always holds true, that kind of suggests more that the trend exists, but it might like not hold true in the future, which is not really getting the point of the question. So I think 1 out of 2 is the correct answer here, and the agent is just not understanding B1 basically. So yeah, so we understand why these 3 failures are happening. If we get those 3 failures fixed, then we'll be at 100%, and our agent will be marking all of the all of the questions perfectly. So let's see if the guidelines help in the next video. I hope you're excited as I am. See you in the next video. Bye for now.